Good morning. So today I'm just going to take you through what I call the bare minimum practice that I would recommend you do every single day as a bare minimum. Of course, I'd encourage you to do a lot more if you have the time, but otherwise this is something that I do as a bare minimum every single day. It involves forward bending, it involves back bending, it involves side bending, and really movement to the spine is magic. It's one of the most important things. Not a lot of hip opening, so it's really not a deeper practice. It's really just more about energizing, invigorating the spine and keeping it healthy. So I'm just going to talk you through it as well. So there's a lot of alignment cues, which ideally once you've learnt them, you don't need to listen or practice to this video, rather just do it on your own. But I want to teach you how to do it as safely as possible. And we will also do a twist, I didn't mention. So we'll twist and we'll do a mild or gentle inversion depending on your level of experience. So when we start, it's nice to just allow for the thoracolumbar fascia to release. And that can be done in one of two ways, either child's pose, which we'll actually end up in. I often just like to start in ragdoll. And here I'm literally just waking up, starting the day. So my lower back is quite tight each morning. So I'm just going to rest my elbows to my knees to begin with. The feet are hip width apart. The toes are turned ever so slightly inwards. We want to make sure we're balanced through the four corners of the feet. You just literally allow yourself to dangle. So as you're ready to, you could just drop the elbows towards the floor. But again, that may be too much. You could just keep the elbows on your knees. My arms are interlaced in such a way that I'm not holding on. I've got one hand on top of the bicep. The other one threads under the opposite bicep. And where possible, we want to maintain a conscious breath throughout. So we call it ujjayi breath. Very subtle contraction of your throat. And the other aspect that's really important, if your eyes are open, you're welcome to close them, but if your eyes are open, is to keep the eyes steady on one point. You can feel yourself to sway a little bit side to side, just really gentle, like a branch in the breeze. If it's too much, elbows to knees. You might find the third principle, which I'm hoping you've learned at some point, 3 foundations of a yang style asana practice is 1, the ujjayi breath, 2, the drishti eyes on one point, and 3, the bandha. And so here, the pit of the belly gently draws in, starting to find the engagement of your core. Good. We're just going to hold here for a couple more breaths as I talk you through standing up. So when we stand up, particularly if you've got hamstring injuries, it's always a good idea to bend the knees and roll yourself up. Others could work straight legs, straight spine, rise up. And let's just start this first one with a roll up. So maybe even on an exhale, which is fine. We normally come up on inhale, but particularly if you've got low blood pressure, sometimes nice to come up on an exhale. So we'll exhale up to start, roll up. Good. And then often people teach arms wide to reach up. I rather reach the arms through the center, like you're splashing your face. This keeps congruency of the head of the shoulder and the head of the humerus into the glenoid fossa. So it's, I find, much safer. Now, as the arms are reaching up, you might find you can bring the hands together, but not if that brings your shoulders right up to your ears. So rather, I like to separate the hands and turn the little fingers in towards each other. Draw the front ribs in, draw the biceps back behind the ears. Good. Find your foundation, so feet flat, knees broadening energetically, and then inner and outer thighs back. Lift your pelvic floor. Good. That's a lot, I know. So 4 corners of feet ground down, knees broaden, inner and outer thighs back. Lift the pelvic floor, front ribs in, shoulders back. Neck edges long. Nice. Take a deep breath in. Lean to the right, long breath out. You can lower the right hand down. Good, both arms up, breathe in. Keep that straight spine. Lean to the left, exhale. Good, both arms up, breathe in. Hands to your lower back. You're welcome to bring big toes to touch. If you've got tighter hips, you're welcome to keep feet wide. Again, toes turn slightly in. Now, standing back bend. So draw the belly in. We're not going to drop the head back. So almost as though your chin is just slightly tucked towards your chest. So we're keeping the natural curvature of the cervical. Maybe there's a little bit of an extension in the neck, but not hyperextension by dropping the head back. Good. Your core is on. You're breathing nice and slow. Take a big inhale as you're ready. And then a forward fold. We're just going to bend the knees, slide the hands down the leg, bend the knees, take it nice and easy. Good, we'll hold the first one. So up to you. You could have the fingers facing forwards on the floor and push with the fingertips. You could grab your ankles and pull. No real rules here, but other than the core is engaged. See if you can keep the belly engaged as you're folding forwards. Take a long breath out. Good. Now, as we're not actually going to halfway lift. We're going to step back to downward dog as we inhale. So just find that step back. Notice if you started with your right leg stepping back, next time just move with your left leg back so we keep it balanced. Good. Now, downward dog, it's really important to get the right position for hands and feet, and it will always be the same once you've found it. To find it, just take a high push-up and check to see that your shoulders are above elbows, are above wrists, right? And your feet are hip width apart, and you're in a plank, straight spine. Good. And then don't move your hands or feet. Just start with knees bent, take your hips to the sky. Start with knees bent, it's a good option. That might feel like a long base for some of you, but that's good. We want a long base. 3 components to a down dog: stretch, strengthen, and rest. So here we're stretching, strengthening, and resting. So feet are hip width. You can explore straightening the legs, but not if that drops your sit bones. So if your hamstrings are tight, that's going to pull your sit bones down and that'll round your lower back. So for many, keeping a bend to the knees is absolutely imperative. Okay, now fingers are spread, fingertips pressed to the floor, your thumb tips gently hug towards each other. Draw your front ribs in, pull your belly in. Same alignment cues as when standing. Biceps behind the ears where possible, but front ribs in. Good. Take a long exhale. Tuck chin to chest. See if you can roll the spine, ripple, roll the spine. Chin is at the chest to begin, arms stay straight. And you'll find yourself here stacking, again, shoulders, elbows, wrists, one straight line. Now, just to offer this to you, you don't have to, but I encourage you, if you're newer, to drop the knees forwards and down, not straight down, just to keep the spine straight. Now, hug those thumbs in, draw the chest forwards, almost as though you're looking forwards without bending the neck. Chest draws forwards, thumb tips hug in as you come forwards to lay down. So you want to lay your chest to the floor, keep your shoulders off the floor. So you can feel that shoulder retraction, and your elbows here maybe slightly behind your wrists, never in front of your wrists. Elbows slightly behind, not too far back. And then feet can go flat, lift into Cobra Pose. In fact, for our first one, to warm up, let's bring rather elbows below the shoulders. This is Spink's pose. If that's too much, just take your hands underneath your chin, your elbows wider for Crocodile Pose. But again, I'm feeling quite fine now, but often I'm really cold in the morning and I'll hold this one for a good, minute or 3. And just to awaken that thoracolumbar fascia of the lower back. Here there's a compression into the lower back, which will also stimulate the flow of chi or energy. One thing to be mindful of whenever we're doing these floor back bends, laying on our belly, is the tendency is a lot of people let the heels roll out. Right, that's internal rotation of the hips, or heels rolling in, that's external rotation of the hips. We're going to keep the hips neutral, so that means feet neutral. The heel's not out, the heel's not in. To sometimes help you find that, you could just come onto the balls of your feet and check in on the 10 toes pointing directly down. And you're welcome to do that. Otherwise, toes can be flat, but not letting the heels roll in or out. So you hear me cue that a few times, not letting the heels roll in. Good. And then let's just come back to the locust pose. Cobra pose, where the elbows are just behind the wrists. And the option is to take it into locust where the feet lift off the floor, but not if the heels roll in. So keep the thighs neutral. You take an inhale and then tuck your toes, thumbs hug to the midline as you press up to downward dog. Again, knees bent, good option for many, knees bent. Others explore straighten the legs. Make sure you got that long base. Long base. Okay, so that was the alignment prep. A lot to consider, a lot to take in, but once you've got it, you'll never forget it. Fingers are spread, fingertips pressed down, thumb tips hug towards the midline. Good. The biceps behind the ears, but yet the front ribs drawing in, the pit of the belly drawing in. Some of you are going to bend the knees deeper to get the sit bones turning up higher. Others could explore straightening the legs without dropping the sit bones. Two edges of both heels, particularly if your legs are straight, can press down, the inner and the outer edge of both heels, not just the heavy on the outer edge or the inner edge. So heels pressing evenly. Take a long exhale as you're ready. Bend your knees. On a no breath, we're going to walk to the top of your mat. Good. And then into a halfway lift. So this is a flat back, maybe hands to your shins or fingers to the floor. Neck edges long. Take an inhale again. And then forward fold again. You could grab your ankles or fingers push forwards, up to you. Now wait for it. We're going to, again, take the halfway lift. This is, as I mentioned before, you can roll up if you need to, or take the arms back like you're a skier bolting downhill, right? Arms back now with a straight spine. And of course, you can bend the knees, or straight legs, stand up. Splash your face with your hands, reach up, inhale. Front ribs are in, lean to the right, exhale. And now we start to flow. Good, both arms up, inhale. Lean to the left. Both arms up, inhale. Hands to lower back, exhale. Check toes are turned slightly in, standing back bend, breathe in, belly draws in. Forward fold, bend those knees if you need, hands to the earth. Good. Step back, downward facing dog as you inhale. Bend the knees, roll to high plank, low plank, so lay it down as you exhale. Cobra pose, maybe locust. I like to hold the breath for a second there. Let's press back to child's pose. Almost forgot that one. We're just going to hold here for a second. Particularly if you're tight in your lower back, you'll feel it's a wonderful pose to do each and every morning. Good. Make sure if you've got your right toe on top of your left toe, next one we do, make sure your left toe is on top of your right. So we do opposites, or just keep the toes touching without overlapping. I think I've got my left toe slightly on top of my right. So conscious to create balance as we practice. Long exhale as you're ready. Creep the hands forwards. Come back up to Cobra Pose. As you inhale, finish the breath and hold it. Downward dog, thumbs pressed to the midline as you press up. Good work. Inhale here. Long breath out. Bend the knees on a no breath. Walk to the top of your mat. Into a halfway lift. Breathe in. Forward fold. Breathe out. Stand up. Straight spine. Inhale. Again, you're welcome to roll up. Front ribs are in. Lean to the right. Breathe out. Good. Draw the belly in as you reach up. Keep your core engaged. Lean to the left. Exhale. Both arms up. Hands to lower back. Of course, when you're practicing on your own, you'll find your own rhythm. Little standing back bend. Inhale. I like to take deep, slow breaths. Forward fold. Exhale. In fact, I like to draw the breath out as long as possible. Step back. Downward facing dog. Inhale. Roll to high plank, low plank as you exhale. Thumbs hug in, chest draws forwards. Cobra pose. Maybe hold the breath in. Child's pose. Long breath out. You can slide the hands back if you wish. Back to Cobra. Walk the hands forwards. You can maybe hold locust at the end of the breath. Thumbs hug to down dog. Let's just do one more. Inhale here. Full breath out. Walk to the top of your mat. Into a halfway lift. Forward fold. Stand up, straight spine. Inhale. Lean to the right. Inhale, both arms up. Lean to the left. And see how this becomes quite meditative after a while. The idea is be in your body. Inhale, reach up. Hands to lower back. No better place to be than in your own body. Standing back bend. Inhale. Forward fold. Bend the knees if you need. Downward dog. Inhale. Roll, chin to chest. Roll to high plank, low plank as you slowly exhale. Thumbs hug in. Cobra pose. Inhale. Child's pose. Long exhale. Back to cobra. Inhale. Downward dog. Exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. Such a good pose, this one, down dog, because it's actually an inversion. Blood, fresh oxygenated blood is flowing to your brain. Work of strengthening, thumb tips hugging in. You can even energetically push your feet out. You feel your hips engage. And then just nice and relaxed here. Good. And then just going to drop your knees forwards, cross your ankles, come onto your butt. Stretch your left leg out in front. And place your right foot either to the outside or to the inside. Either way, it's important that both sit bones are flat. You may wish to fold the left leg behind you, not to sit on the foot, but that may be beneficial for some. But if your right butt is lifting, just keep the left leg stretched out. It's a good option for some. Even the right foot to the inside of your left knee. Turn to the right, make sure both your sit bones are flat. So the imperative thing here is that the hips are level and the spine is straight as you twist to the right. Now, as you're twisting to the right, internally, see if you can spin your spine the opposite direction, about 5% effort, minimal effort. You should feel your deepest back muscles, the multifidi, rotatories. See if you can feel them engage both sides of the spine. So you're twisting one direction, but internally spinning the opposite direction. We call this a counter twist. Belly stays in, eyes on one point, ujjayi breath. Good, nice work. Gently release and change sides. So again, you might just keep left foot on the inside. You might take left foot to the outside. You might fold the right foot behind you, not to sit on the heel. It's a good option for some. But again, make sure your sit bone, in this case, your left sit bone, is flat, is level. Right? I'm taking the easy variation this morning. Normally I'd sit on a block, to be honest, and fold the leg back. Spine is upright. You're turning to the left and internally spinning your spine the opposite direction. Eyes are on one point or closed. Particularly in a personal practice, home practice, is you want to count your breaths. You want to know how long you've held the right side for and how long you've held the left side. Sometimes you might hold one side longer than the other if there's imbalances in the body. Aspiring to create that balance. Good. Once you feel balanced both sides, just gently release that. Good. And then just, you want to set your feet hip width apart and just lay down. So touch your heels with your fingertips. Make sure the feet never turn out here. So we're going to back bend. Feet run parallel to the edge of the mat. Touch your heels with your fingertips. Dig your elbows down. Point your fingers to the sky, and then slowly lift your hips up. Make sure you engage your core. Shimmy the shoulders to the midline. You're welcome to bind the hands below your back, an option for some. You're welcome to support your hips with your hands if you need to. But see if you can bend your spine and stretch your front body here. It's a good invigorating pose, and wouldn't want to do this one in the evening before bed. But certainly in the morning, great option to start the day with. Good work. And as you're ready, lay it down. Bring knees together, feet wide. Just relax for a moment. Bring your attention back to your breath. Now, as for our inversion, if you're brand new to a yoga practice, wouldn't recommend you explore shoulder stand here or even headstand. Often I'll do headstand on my own. I'm not going to teach it to you because I think it's super, super dangerous. You need an expert to be able to talk you through headstand before you actually attempt it, I'd recommend. If you want to just explore a modified inversion, you can just sit on your hands, legs to the sky. We call this Viparita Karani. In fact, there's different variations of Viparita Karani. This is one, just sitting on your hands, legs up. Or another is to bring your torso to a 45-degree angle and support your lower back, legs up. That's easy, gentle variation. There should be no pressure of your neck on the floor. Of course, if you wish to, with chin off the chest, you could support that lower back, press the back of the head down, and see if you can get the whole body straight up. But the neck should not be pressing on the floor. That's why I said chin off the chest. We do not want to look around in this pose. You want to be very careful with your neck, putting a lot of body weight on the, potentially, on the neck, but my neck's not even touching the floor. I've got the natural curvature of my cervical spine. Eyes on one point. We breathe. The core is engaged. Only hold for as long as feels comfortable for you. Therapeutically, such a very beneficial pose. I encourage you to hold it for longer if you can, but not to strain or struggle. Good, and there's variations. Again, you can just sit on your hands. You could work plow pose or a variation of deaf man's pose. That's bending the knees. The feet don't touch the floor. Just keep support of your back. Again, mindful of your neck. If the feet do touch the floor, you're welcome to interlace the hands. Again, the option is to bend your knees for deaf man's pose. Or plow pose, legs are stretched out. Chin is off the chest. Good, as you're ready, you can lay it down. Now, in traditional schools of yoga, they teach you to go straight to fish pose because in the old days, they actually encouraged your neck to be pressing in the floor. In some of the ashrams in India, they still do that. But certainly I do not encourage that because it's the spine's in flexion, the cervical spine, and putting pressure on it is not safe. So, however, if you felt like your neck did take a little flexion there and you want to balance it, a little counterbalance would be fish pose, Matsyasana. That is the hands reached out, the thumbs scooped under the fleshy part of the butt, the elbows dig down, we drop to the crown of the head, tongue on the top of the mouth. Generally, you'd hold that for about a third of the time that you held the shoulder stand for if you took it. Otherwise, just as you're ready, release. Maybe a happy baby just to close so you can grab the, I said we weren't going to work hips or inner thighs, but certainly here you can get a little bit of stretch for the inner thighs. Heels above knees, hands can be anywhere, outside, inside, doesn't really matter. Same breath continues, eyes on one point. These are just the imperative foundations, the breath, the drishti, the bandha. I know there's a fair amount of instruction in this short practice. Of course, once you've learnt the alignment cues, you don't need the instruction any longer, and you can find it can be a really short practice that is what I would say is the bare minimum. Now, as you're ready to, you can take a short shavasana if you've got the time. If you don't have the time, at least you've done some movement for your spine. I do encourage a shavasana, at least, like after a short practice like that, 3 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. But if you've got 5 or 10, why not lay here and just be present in your body? It's not the time yet to run off into thinking. Rather, we just focus on the sensations of our body. We notice that we're noticing. We're aware that we're aware. We're observing the energetic vibrations of the body. And so I'm going to leave you here. I encourage you just close the lid of your laptop, or, do what you need to do to allow yourself to stay for as long as you wish. Maybe set a timer if you need to. And for me, what's next is getting up. I'll do my incantations. I'll read my inspiration stack. Any other little inspiration notes I've got around, just to really pep myself up to prepare my psychology for the day. So I've done my physiology, this physical work, then I'll prep my psychology, and then I'll do my strategy, then I'll do breakfast, and then I start my day, start my working day. I wish you well. Stay safe, be happy. Namaste.